Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee Chat. I am joined this morning by the lovely Dawn Tellinghuisen, and she has 42 years experience as the Avon lady. She's so much more than the Ding Dong lady. And she will not be the first to tell you, but I will. She has over 200 people underneath her in Avon. And so there's a lot that we can learn from this lady this morning. Dawn, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you so much, Colleen. I'm so glad to be with all of you and be able to share what I love doing. And like Colleen said, I'm an independent Avon ambassador and also a team builder, and been with Avon 42 years. Been with the company that's been 138 years of legacy. So it is very interesting how people know Avon. Okay. Now, Avon's mission statement right now is we believe in growing and supporting a diverse community of beauty lovers who like to share what they love. And that pretty much explains what I'm doing. um, I started Avon only to get in good with my mother-in-law, believe it or not. Yes, my mother-in-law had sold Avon and I was working full time, had no interest in being a salesperson. I still don't call myself a salesperson, but she just said to me one day, and she's in her heavenly home now, but so I'm really carrying out her legacy, I guess. She said to me one day, "Why don't you start? It's only $20 to get started." I told my husband, "No way do I want to sell anything door to door. I am a fashion merchandiser. I am a banker. I am not a salesperson." And he's like, "Just do it. Just try it. So I did. I tried it. And now it's like I couldn't go back to the corporate world for nothing because I'm my own boss. I set my own hours. I work with team members in whatever way their lifestyle is, because there can be a lot of different ages and a lot of different lifestyles that come to Avon. Um, my team
So let me
building,
ask you this. Let me interject and ask you this,
sure,
Don. Going on the Avon motto, do you love what you do?
I wouldn't be with them 42 years if I didn't love what I do.
That's good to know. There are a lot of people that maintain their jobs because they have responsibilities, right? Or they
Hmm.
have obligations that are like financial obligations, children, things that they have to keep paying for. They've gotten
Hmm.
themselves in debt. They have to have that guaranteed income. And it's hard to explain to people sometimes that they can be way more successful if they can switch to doing what they love. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you love what you do.
Yes, I love what I do. I mean, I would never have thought that in the very beginning, of
Right.
course, because it was kind of like, that little job on the side. My husband said, you got that little job on the side because when I started having babies, I got really sick. And so then I couldn't work like in the bank and other things. And so he's like, "Well, you got that Avon thing that you could do something with." And so I started doing something with it. And my kids are now like 38 years old, and they know mom as only the lady that would talk on the phone really nice, but once she got off the phone, she would be yelling at us.
That's so
And
funny.
they would
So,
always say, mom would be yelling about something. She'd pick a, "Hi, how you doing?" Man, mom changed her personality quickly.
how fun. So tell me, when you first started, Avon didn't carry the same products they carry now. And so you've been with the company while it's evolved and while it's grown. Has it been a hard shift going into all the changes?
Oh, yeah, definitely, because I have to keep learning myself, just as I tell my team members. You've got to have the knowledge because knowledge is power. If you don't have the knowledge of the products, people won't trust you. So, I tell them you've got to use the tools that Avon gives you to learn about the products because then, and even if you don't know everything, you're not going to know everything about every product. But if you just keep updating yourself, as because Avon introduces new products like almost, if not every 2 weeks, every month, they are introducing something new. And so I have to also keep up with that as well. I mean, when I first started, we did paper purchase orders. Now everything's online and we have our online stores. I had to learn all that like everyone else, so it's a challenge. It keeps me, because if I'm going to be leading other team members in what they're doing, I always say, I don't ask any of you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And so I do the training and I'm out there in the community talking Avon and I'm texting my customers and I'm doing all of that I am training and working with and building my team members to do that also. So I looked up just to have some numbers for you. And in the last month, from the middle of June, I added 43 team members to my team. So
That's
adding,
phenomenal.
yeah, adding team members like that, besides I'm doing the selling. I mean, my sales so far are around 13,000 and I plan on ending the year with 25,000 or more in sales. And
That's
so
amazing.
I'm doing both. I'm leading and building and supporting team members over 200. But the key about the leadership part of it is communication. It's once because team members now, besides the ones that I personally talk to and the ones that go online and just choose me, because I've got a video on my online store and things like that. And so many of them have said, because I like to ask them when I first make contact with them, did Avon assign you to me or did you choose me? And most of them chose me. And I'm going, wow, thank you. But, it's because I make myself look fun. I present myself as someone that I want to work with new team members. And so, like I said, communication. So once I hear that I've got a new team member, because I get an email from Avon, so whether or not I've brought them in personally myself or they've been assigned from Avon to me, I get an email. First thing I do as soon as I can, I like to do it within the first hour, but it's required in the first 24 hours to make contact with them. Now, how many of you, just going to ask a question, if you get a phone call from a number that you don't know, do you answer the phone?
No.
No,
No,
no.
no.
Same thing goes for me, right? So I say the same thing goes for these new team members. So I text them and I say who I am. I welcome them to Avon. And my first question is only, can I support you through text? And I just want to get an answer back from them. Once I get an answer back from them, I know that we can communicate through text. And I also ask them, what form of communication is best for you? Now, I use that one in kind of a tricky way because if they don't text me right away, then I wait 2 or 3 days maybe and I send another text. I don't sign my name. I just say their name. I say, "Do you get text at this number?" And a lot of times I'll get a response like, "Who is this?" I'm going, I know they get text. They just answered my question. So then I say, "This is Dawn with Avon. I contacted you, whatever. I just wanted to make sure we could, stay connected." And then I ask them, what is the best way to communicate with you? Is it the phone? Is it email or is it text? Now, we all know people don't look at their email very often. We all know that they don't answer their phone if they don't know the number. So until they're saving my number in their phone as their advisor, they're not going to answer that phone. So text is the best way for me. And it's really the best way for me for anybody, either in my networking group or whatever, to make contact with me because I'll respond to a text.
I think that's so interesting because I'd like to see from everybody what they think the best form of communication is with their clients. And I know everybody here has different clients. And so I have a few that are Carl, Carl, people that expect me to answer my email. Carl. And sometimes I don't look at my email for a long time. Or I try to look at it once quick in the morning. And if it's not, super important, then I just don't. But um, I also text. I do not like phone calls. I like Zoom, but I don't like picking up the phone talking to anybody. Even my husband, if he calls, I just reach over and put it on speakerphone and keep doing what I'm doing. So, what works best with your clients, Carl?
Well, I would do more texting, but I have a mailing list just of my new group of over 370 people, which would have to be in my contact list on my phone, which I guess I could do, but I use an automatic mailer to send messages to them. And no, you're right. Not everybody checks their email or checks it often. And I mean, I think some people are actually email challenged. They have an issue opening emails or reading them. I guess because maybe, I mean, I don't use a fax machine, so I have upgraded from that. I think that a lot of people have figured, okay, now texting until the next thing comes along for communication is their best way of communicating, which I'm fine with that on a one-to-one basis. But when you're working with, a mass amount of people, I find texting to be inefficient for me. Plus, I really don't care for people to attend my events on a phone. I prefer them to attend the events with a tablet or a laptop or a larger format. And I'm afraid if I were to send all the links to them via phone, that they would just connect via phone. And there we go again. So I'm trying to retrain their brain. So I don't think there's any one way. I think you have to look at whoever. I mean, I have one of the I refuse to fail partners that I have to text her to say, check your email, you know,
Mhm.
and well, that's not you, Colleen, but it could be soon. But yeah, to check it because sometimes I'm putting more in there than I want to put into a text.
Mhm.
I would agree with that. I think that overall that you want to be spread out just like you want to be omnipresent online. You want to be on all the platforms and all the places. I think we also need to be in their email, their texting, all of the things in case one doesn't work, or like you said, for mass texting. But also a problem I have with texting is I have fat fingers, and I'm over 50. I don't care to correct it. So you get what you get. You're just gonna have to get out your code decipher and figure out what I was trying to say. How about you, Mr. Rob? What works best for you?
Um, just like what Don was saying, a combination of texting as well as phone calls. And I go so far as to texting like certain memes, to encourage some sort of reaction.
Oh,
And
that's
then
good.
I always say that when sending a text, always leave it with a question at the end of the text that compels them to answer it.
Mhm.
And either, stop bothering me or something like that. Then I know they respond to texts, like what Dawn was saying. So,
Yeah.
it's a combination. And today's world, busy, busy, busy. But not only, a strange phone number, you didn't make an appointment, and I'm really conscious of people's time availability, and I don't just expect that they're going to accept a phone call that we did not schedule. I assume that everybody's too busy to take a phone call, so I text for availability, and it seems to be working out a lot better that way because I'm respecting their time first and giving them an idea of what I want to discuss with them as well. Hey, give me a call about what? What? I don't know. You got to bring something for them to acknowledge or respond to. And I just feel that's a lot more effective. And, I'll test it out with ChatGPT and saying, what are the most effective text stuff and things like that. And I like to have fun with it and just, it's the activities that, you know, create the opportunities. So just
I like that. I
keep
like
your head
that.
down and just keep doing stuff that is keep doing the activities for the conversations, and the conversations are going to happen. So
Right.
I like that. I like the strategy of ending with a question. Moving on to Becky. Becky, what works for you and your
So
client?
we do a combination of things. And all my stuff is usually automated, so it goes through my CRM and is dispersed from there. And we'll do a combination of text, email, and ringless voicemail. Um, we always identify ourselves because I am one of those people that if I get a text that has nothing attached to it, I report it and then I delete it because I'm also a big cyber security person, and there's so much risk with bots and hackers that hackers will do that exact same strategy. And then the next thing you know, your phone's a brick. So, anyways, so I never respond to anything that the person doesn't identify. And the other flip side of that is hopefully I always put your name in once I put your number in because, but for the most part, I always make sure I do. And besides, there would be some kind of text thread or something like that, or a call thread. So, like I said, we do a combination. We run it through. The interesting part, it now takes about 12 to 18 touches to get people to actually respond. So people are busy and people are worried, especially I deal with seniors. We never know who's going to do. They could call an 800 number off the TV, but you could be they could be your client and they won't answer your phone call.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
it's one of those things where it's a shot in the dark with that, but we just keep trying, we do mail sometimes, snail mail. You never know.
Catherine, how about you? You're muted.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I have to turn up my volume. Here we go. Yeah, I'm listening to the conversation. It sounds like that we're getting a few tips on kind of cold calling at the same time maintenance to the clients. So there's a couple things here. But Dawn, I really don't agree with you just texting and purposely not putting your name on it. I've done this. I've made coordination with my people. Even if I've talked to them, the very, very first text is going to be, "Hi, this is Catherine Wilking. We talked about da 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 da. Here's the question. Can we move your session from 8 till 9? Or can we do, this type of stuff?" They go, "Oh, right, important." And
Yes.
that
Well,
saves
my
them the
first
game.
text did have my name. Remember, my first text says who I was, and
Right.
then that would be the follow-up text that they're wanting, and sometimes they just don't see that first text and then they see the second text. So the first text, I agree, has got my name so they know who this number is
Yeah,
from.
good stuff. And yeah, sometimes I've texted people to say I just sent them the materials or the recording or whatever, just as a little tip. I always give them on Fridays, I give everybody I'm working with currently kind of a little bit of a cheerful cheerleading kind of post or something for the weekend. And I also have one client who's an agoraphobic. She doesn't want to be seen on Zoom. In fact, we talked remotely for about 6 weeks before she got on the phone with me to talk. And so we're dealing with many different aspects of people reaching out for help, and they're shy, and we have to respect what they want to do. So I do agree, finding the best way to each one. And yet sometimes the bigger files or pictures need to go email, and in fact even hightail when I send them a recording or something else that I've done in the past. This big one, I tell them it's coming via hightail because of the volume of the video, and so please look out for that. Let me know when you got it, if you can open it. These little touch points are really, really important for sure.
I love
Yeah,
what you said, Catherine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, every 2 weeks, I send an email to all of my team, all 200 plus the ones that have left for some reason or another. And once a month, I do have a Zoom chat with all of my team as well. So I carry out a lot of different communications as well.
I think that's key. And I love what Catherine was saying about everybody's so different. And I think that's a great balancing act we have to learn as entrepreneurs, is how to connect personally with everybody on the different levels that they're on.
Mhm.
And really, for me, it's like dealing with my kids. I have one child that has fifth nerve palsy, so he has no depth perception, no peripheral vision. And so when he was of age to learn to write, he couldn't write, obviously. But he would build his name. And so we made that was his way of communicating. He would build his name out of anything he could find. So my job was to always provide him different things, whether it was Cheerios that he could spell his name out with, or we had the pickup sticks he would use, just different things like that. And then I have other children that are very much on their game and able to do all of these things. I have a daughter who enrolled herself in first grade when she barely turned 4. So, different ages. And I think our clients are the same way. And you can go forward and you can build a successful business by just going with the masses. I'm not going to say that you can't, but I believe personally that you have a greater impact when you pay attention personally to your clients and make that connection. And maybe it's not a numbers game then. Maybe it's the depth of the connection and the impact. So that's for me. Valerie, what about you, dear? What do you do with yours?
Yes, thank you very much. So I do a variety of things. I try to get a read on what habits the person I'm communicating with are in. So some of them customarily they do email. Some customarily do texting. Some customarily will actually call me. But I do want to put a plug in for answering your phone, even though you don't know who it is calling, because I tend to think that if we don't answer our phone, even though we don't know who it is, it's a little attitudinal and it's a little arrogant, like, I don't know who it is. I'm too important. I don't have time for this. So I don't want to be that. So I have always answered my phone no matter what. And if it's some robot or something else, all I have to do is simply take my fingertip and hang up. It is not as if it's some big deal, some big to do to get rid of this caller. You can just hang up. It's super simple. So I always answer my phone, always, without fail. I answer my phone. And when I was working in Portland, I was recruited to Portland, Oregon. I got a phone call, and it was right before I was trying to meet my goal. I did not recognize this number, and I answered it. And the man on the other side said, "Oh, finally, someone had the courtesy to answer my call." And I said, "Oh, yes, of course, sir. How can I help you?" Well, he was another Aflac agent in Florida, and he had lots of business that needed to be written in the state of Oregon, which he couldn't do because he didn't have a license. And I got this giant boatload of business simply because I answered my phone.
Very good. All right, Carl, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to clarify how I answer the phone. I have two phones. I have a personal landline phone, and then I have my business phone. I do answer my business phone because I get very few scammers or spammers, okay? But on my personal phone, if it comes up on my TV and it doesn't have their name or who they are, I don't answer that because we probably get 12 to 15 of those a day. And I recently learned that if you do answer those, sometimes nobody's there. Basically, that is one of these agencies that's saying these people answer their phone and then they sell that list to people who are going to
Oh,
scam or spam
interesting.
you.
Mhm.
So,
Interesting.
but that's my landline, and that one I do not unless I know who it is. And I figure if it's somebody I should have known who it was, I have an answering machine on there that basically says, if you're trying to reach me and this was important, please leave a message and I'll get back to you. And then my phone blinks, I call them right back. So just to clarify it,
Interesting.
if it's my business phone, I normally answer it. Sometimes it's somebody saying, are you really making all the money you want to make? And I'll say, well, are you making all the money you want to make? Have a great day. And then it's gone. But for the most part, I want to clarify that. My personal phone, no. My business phone, yes, I answer.
Interesting. Karen, how about you, dear? You're muted.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to get to it. So, I've been in several different things. So one of my main things was as a massage therapist, which to me is it's a very personal kind of relationship. It's not corporate. It's not whatever. So I really do phone calls. A lot of times if we're setting up messages or something, we do text back and forth rather than playing phone tag or something like that. But also when I've had a team of people, I tend to reach out to really follow up, to really let them know that I'm there, ask what if they need help with something, really be available for them. And a lot of times it might be through Messenger now, as well as text message or something. But you really do have to find the best way that they want to connect with you, and then utilize that platform or that channel to really stay in touch with them.
So I like that. So I'm going to just throw a branding tip or idea out there before we move on to the next people. But here's the thing. My dad was the world's greatest salesman. And I say this with all the respect that could possibly come with that. When we had his funeral, to me, he was always dad. I just didn't know. But my mom said that we had to do his burial first, early in the morning, and then go to his funeral. And it was so backwards to me, and I didn't understand that, but we did it. And then we get to the funeral, and I'm in the front row, and there's my little daughter, who was probably 3 at the time, and she's crying and starting to throw a fit because we forgot to feed her. And I'm like, well, of course we forgot to feed you because, yeah, why not, And so I stood up to take her out to get her some food in the middle of the service, and I turned around and looked, and this building held 1,000 people, and there was literally standing room only. Our friends and family were in the foyer, leaning in the door, waiting so we would know that they were there. Everybody that was there, the majority, probably 80%, were people he came in contact with through his sales. One of the gentlemen that spoke got up there and said, "Hi there, Mike Barnes here," and started his speech that way. And he said, "Ken, I've been waiting my entire life. I wanted to emulate you because everywhere my dad went, he greeted everybody. Hey there, Ken Baker. How can I help you?" Answer the phone. "Hey there, Ken Baker." And so when you get an email from me and it says, "Hey there, Dawn. Hey there, Carl," it's on purpose. That is very intentional. And I have had people say to me, mentors say to me, "Don't say that, just say hi." And I'm like, no, that's not who I am. And when I get on a phone call with you, it's, "Hey there, I'm Colleen. How can I help you?" I always start with, "Hey there, I'm Colleen." And my dad did that. And I saw firsthand the impression that makes. And so not only does answering our phone or responding to emails or text make a difference, but how you do it and how you personalize that to your brand is hugely important, I feel. Keith, your turn. Tell me what you think on that.
What's the first question that you were going through so I can get the answer correct?
Okay, the first question is the best means of communication for you with your clients. I know you use, personally, I know as your client
Yeah.
that you use WhatsApp and you do a lot of texting that way. I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe I've gotten an email unless it was like a follow-up from a WhatsApp conversation where you needed to get me promotional information or instructions or something like that. But we want to know how you communicate with your clients, what's best, and do you think branding in your communication is necessary? Two questions for you.
Most of contacts that I would start off with, it has happened with a one-to-one Zoom first. That's where it starts off, and then the army is coming, and then you have the one-to-one Zoom, and then you can follow up with information, which I generally send on WhatsApp because I'm a single-digit typist. So doing emails is not going to be my my strong point unless somebody has no other mechanism of connection. I can put an email together reluctantly, but it's nearly always phone and following up with WhatsApp messaging. With regards to answering the phone, which I heard earlier, yeah, I'll always answer the phone, and if it is one of those robots, it'll be gone fairly fast. But I get a lot of people contacting me because somebody has given them my number and they're in trouble. So they're going to start off pretty quickly telling them who gave my details to them, what kind of trouble that they're in. So I know it's not a crank call, or it's not a rubbish call in any way, but you can recognize the robot ones very quickly because it sounds like an actual recorded message. So it's toodaloo for that one. I know some people that when it's not a recorded message and it's some sort of a salesperson, I know some people that actually like to waste their time as much as possible. I know one guy, and he says, I held him up for half an hour.
That's funny. So when I get those robot calls, well, when I do answer my phone, and I'm just so weird about it. If anybody calls me from Florida, I don't answer. Sorry, Rob. Sorry, Carl. My stepdad, my wicked stepfather, is down there, and I just hope he dies so I don't answer the phone. And I don't have any family that's close to me that wouldn't come up on my contact list, or at least in this general area code. And so,
But
I don't.
even if I'm on a Zoom and I can't pick a call up, I'll always ring back that number too.
Now, when I answer too, if I do answer, I always say hello, and then I wait and I say 1, 2, 3. And if the robot hasn't started speaking or the human hasn't started speaking, I just hang up and move on. So,
I don't wait that long.
oh well, I'm
If
trying to
it's-
be patient.
If it's a wee bit suspicious looking based on the number, sometimes I'll just click answer and I'll say nothing.
Yeah,
to
you
see
don't
what-
answer. If you don't answer, it just stays dead. But if you make a sound,
Exactly.
that's
So
what connects it.
That's another mechanism of
Mm.
testing what's
I
there.
didn't know that.
So I do that, yeah, because they're waiting for you to say something for the machine to click on.
That's right.
I didn't know
So
that.
sometimes I pick up and I just wait. If it is a person, they will definitely say something because you've answered.
It's an auto dialer.
Alrighty, Kay, moving on. How does your communication work with your clients?
Certainly. Let me come to this one. Okay. What communication?
We can't hear you, Kay.
If it's through internet, it's going to be poor. That's the answer.
It's Zoom, the headache. Okay, how do I communicate? Means justify the end results. Oh, I don't know what's going on with my camera. I don't have a preference. Whatever works for me works. If smoke signal works for the client, if carrier pigeon, I'll definitely do it. Doesn't matter. It's really not about me. It's whatever works for the client, and whatever it takes to get the job done, I'm open to. I don't have a preference. Most people don't call me because they don't have my number. I enjoy email just because I have a record of it, and I have a habit of deleting my messages so my storage doesn't fill up on my phone. So, I mean, my preference is email, but I'll accommodate a client in whichever way.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about your messages. Yeah, we do have to delete those. And what about branding in your message, in your communications?
I use a certain language or tone, but there's sometimes I brand, sometimes I don't. It depends on what the campaign or the communication is about. If it's about an event, then I'll brand it, or if it's about an offer program, then I'll brand it. But if it's just a casual, no branding. There's this one word that I use in language when I'm speaking to people, darling, but I realize in a professional setting, some people don't appreciate that. So I try to keep it professional, saying hello. I know there's some conversation about hi, and how do you say? I kind of keep it professional, say hello. Can't go wrong, or play it safe rather.
Very good. Very good. Kim, how about you?
I prefer personal phone calls all the time. I just do. Is that the
Interesting. Do you
question?
wear a headset when you do this? I mean, if you're on your phone a lot, are you on a headset or earbuds or something, or do you actually hold the phone to your ear?
Um, I actually hold the phone to my ear. I guess I'm old school. And sometimes I may have it on speaker. It depends on who I'm talking to, and I'll know whether they feel comfortable, with me having the speaker on. And I'll let them know that I'm the only person in the room.
That's interesting. I think that's a great courtesy. I always do that. I use speakerphone a lot, and especially, of course, in my car, I use hands-free. And I always, if a call comes in, say, hey, by the way, you're on speakerphone with Jimmy and Scott and whoever, is in the room, so that my husband doesn't put his foot in his mouth or say something inappropriate. Is usually that's his sign to watch what he says when he calls me. Okay, so Dawn, we've kind of gone through this. Really, I feel like communication is a great thing, and it's so good for me to hear what everybody's way of doing it is, because we're all so different. I do agree with what most people said, which is whatever works for the client. However, I really still hate phones. And I really hate phones. Like, my kids will have to drive to my house to come see me because some days I don't even turn my phone on, and they're like, where's your phone? I'm like, well, who knows? Could be anywhere at this point. And in my defense, I have a business phone and I have my personal phone, and my kids don't have my business number. So even if my business phone is on, which it usually is, my personal one, I just leave wherever and don't pay attention to. So let's talk a little bit about consistency, because you don't get to 42 years in business without consistency.
Yes.
And so what I'd like to do is just take a moment and have everybody tell us. I'd like to start with you, Dawn. I'd like to put you on the spot for 3 things you do to maintain consistency in your business. And then I'd like to go around the room and have everybody just add a quick one thing they do, so we don't run out of time. And if you have something that's different that hasn't been said yet, that would be great, because I'm taking notes and I aim to learn something here. So go ahead, Dawn, and tell us 3 ways that you're consistent in your business.
Okay, well, I'm consistent in my business that every week my whole team gets an email. Okay, so that always updates on what's going on in Avon. And yes, they can get that same information by going into their online store and that type of thing. But I'm their leader. I want to make sure they know these things. So an email consistent at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And then, like I said before, that I do monthly Zooms, so that's a consistency. But my main thing is every day I try to talk to 5 or more people. That is what I ask my team to do. And I talk to 5 or more of my new people, my new team members, and 5 or more of my customers. So
Very good.
keeping it short and sweet, I guess.
And Carl, how about you?
Well, as far as I do more than one thing, but as far as our I Refuse to Fail partnership, I consistently have a meeting. I try to make everything as consistent and at the same day and time because people get used to that. You know, the people, they're like sheep. If you lead them, they'll follow. And so we have our events every Wednesday at 2:45 p.m. Eastern time. And then on every Monday or Tuesday, I usually send out some kind of an update or newsletter. Sometimes it's a little crazy. I may put a weird statement in there, Rob will tell you, but something to grab their attention so that it's not just the same old reminder because they just click off on that. So, but every week I try to send something that's a little bit different. I'll change the email up a little bit, but that goes out to a mass amount of people. And as far as the other part of the consistency, I guess, is that I also try to schedule as many people every day as possible to speak with, usually new people that have, you know, scheduled with me for a one-to-one, and that's on a Zoom call. But other than that, I consistently get up too early in the morning.
Okay, Carl, you know what? I like to give everybody a minute to plug their networking because networking is so near and dear to my heart. So I know you and Kay both have networking events. So if you would like to take 90 seconds and give us a plug for your 15 plus 30, in case anybody
Oh,
doesn't know
okay.
about that, would like to come.
All right. Well, we have both a partnership, but that's beside that. We have a 15 plus 30. And what a 15 plus 30 is, real simply, is unlike a lot of events, anybody that's brand new, I spend up to 15 minutes with them on Zoom with everybody that's in attendance. So, and we do a Q&A, and I ask several questions, and then I open it up to the room. They can raise their hand and ask questions. So it's kind of like one great big one-on-one with somebody that's new. Returning guests, I don't like elevator sales pitches because nobody comes there to buy anyway. So I really don't allow that. But everybody that's returning can introduce themselves again and briefly say what they do. And then on top of that, instead of having to rely on copying chat, I provide a form at the end of the meeting that if people fill out the form, they will get a spreadsheet with everybody who attended every week that they come. So, but it's every week on or every Wednesday. Well, no, the third Wednesday of the month we have an early morning meeting, but the first, second, fourth, and sometimes fifth Wednesday of the month. It's at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Absolutely free. Nobody sells anything. I don't allow it, and we're not selling anything, and there's no membership fee. So you're welcome to attend.
Thank you. Thank you. Rob, consistency, buddy.
I'm a meathead, so consistency, going to the gym Monday through Friday in the morning sets the stage. The other thing too is making my bed sets my head on straight, and you know, really at the end of the day, trying to figure out all the action items that are needing to be done, usually the sales activities first, and then some of the other things that are, you know, good for stuff. And one of the things that I learned from Carl is if you go to a networking event, nobody's there to buy anything from you. So always remember it's your motivation of being in the networking group is to learn more about someone that's in the group. Now, I'm going to post something into the group. It's not for sales, but there is a link for networking one-to-one link. And I would really be interested in meeting new people, understanding what your business is first and foremost, and really how I can help you grow. And as what Carl's got there, you know, with Zig Ziglar, you know, you help more people get what they want, you're ultimately going to get what you want. And bearing that in mind, everybody's an adult. Nobody came to a networking event to buy something. Nobody did. So
You're right.
I
Absolutely.
recognize that. And listen, if you're here, I would love to learn more about you, and perhaps I can maybe help your business. And, you know, as we say in the 1530 meeting, as an I refuse to fail partner, we're always here to help you and never to sell you. So that's really what ultimately, you know, build trust. You know, people don't want to see you as some sort of person that's just, you know, get on a one-to-one phone call and try to hard sell them. Yeah, that's taboo. So
Absolutely. And guess
don't
what,
be
Rob?
afraid of setting up a one-to-one with me, because I'd love to learn more about you. You are paramount. So just remember
So
that.
guess what, Rob? I start my
What?
day with the gym and I always make my bed. And my mom always told me from the time I was little, make sure you make your bed every day. It may be the best gift you give to yourself. At the end of the day, you come home and you have a beautiful place to lay your head and you've had a rough day. That's great. If you haven't had a rough day, it still looks nice in case somebody comes by, which most people don't go to your bedroom, except in my house. I have a master suite that leads out to a great balcony. And so it's sometimes we call it the living room. It's not the living room, but it seems to be the gathering place. Especially I have 4 daughters or daughter-in-laws that are all breastfeeding. So sometimes it's the breastfeeding room. If there's a lot of people in the house, they all go back there because I have recliners set up in my room and they go back there and have their mommy moments. Miss Becky, how about you? One thing for consistency.
Well, it's kind of a twofold, but it's one thing.
Yeah,
It's being
perfect.
accessible and responsive. So my clients, if they call and I can't get to them right away, they either get a text or an email saying that, I'm busy, but I will respond with them as soon as I'm available. And that will always be within 24 hours.
Very good. Do you sometimes just send them a link so that they can book with you in the next, like if you're
Sometimes,
busy, you
depending
just
on the
send them a link and
situation.
say,
Yeah.
hop on? Yeah.
Yeah. If I have to know my audience. I got some people that, even clicking on a link is, of course, I'm the one that's the cyber person telling everybody don't click on links on the email. So there's that.
There's that. All right, Valerie, how about you?
Well, I'm in the Make the Bed Club, like some of you. And next, I check my email first thing in the morning. I say my prayers and I check my email and I get all that early morning stuff out of the way before we're allowed to talk to people. And I'm not disturbing anybody. I'm doing that. I'm getting caught up with that. I take an hour-long walk right after that so that I get my blood flowing. And then I'm responsive and accessible too. And I'm also reaching out to each of my team members individually and letting them know I care and love them on an individual and frequent basis. And I'm constantly prospecting, not at an event though, Rob. So I get you on that.
All right, Karen, how about you? What's your one consistent thing you do?
The one thing when I was young, I always wanted to work in a Hallmark stores. I love greeting cards. But of course they're very expensive. So I send out electronic birthday cards to all of my clients, offering them, a discount on a service or something, but a really personal note in there that I send out to them through a platform that I use. And, it's just, to me, it's a personal touchstone and just acknowledging their birthday. Everybody likes to be acknowledged on their birthday.
That is so funny because my insurance company always sends me a $5 gift card for McDonald's on my birthday. I don't even like McDonald's, but the grandkids are always like, "Who gets it this year?" So just pass it along. But I like the fact that they take the time and actually put a card in there too. So that's a little different. Keith, how about you?
I wouldn't be sending out McDonald's vouchers to anybody. I'm trying to make them better, not worse. But anyway, yeah, my day starts off with, yes, making the bed, because I went to boarding school. You're not going to be doing anything other than making your bed when you start off 5 years of your life in boarding school. And I do some stretching exercises and I do my power walk every morning. When I get back and have a shower, well, then you can start into whatever appointments you have made or whatever you need to do. But that's the way my day rolls all the time.
Very good. Kim.
Hi. I have what I call Kim the Empower Hour. And it's kind of funny, I made it up, but it starts at about between 6 and 7 in the morning. It starts with prayer and meditation. I think about 3 things that I'm thankful for. Then I write down what I call a brain dump, whatever I've been thinking about too much. Sometimes when I get it on paper, like right now I'm going through a process where my favorite aunt is about to transition. So I've been writing a lot about that and my feelings about her and how thankful I am that she was in my life. And then I do some stretching. And, you know, that 1 hour puts my head space in a really good place because I'm the executive director of a nonprofit here in Houston, Texas. So if I do those things, it just appears that my day runs a lot smoother. So thank you.
Very good. Very good. Well, I feel like this was a good meeting. It was a little bit different than we usually have, but does anybody have any tips or strategies they want to share before we finish up here?
Don't
And Dawn,
forget
I'll
to
let you
take good
close
care
us.
of yourself.
I didn't get that, Valerie.
Don't forget to take good care of yourself.
Yes, your business always runs better when you do that.
I've got one sales tip if you want it. Selling tip.
Sure.
Selling isn't telling, it's asking.
And that's something that I use quite regularly, but that is finding out the needs of people.
Yep.
What I can do for their need.
Yep.
That's very good. What I always tell myself is that it's service over sales, because I believe that if you provide good service and you're there and you're you know, talking to them without the high pressure kind of sales thing, they'll want to buy from you. People want to know that you care.
Yeah, you know, people, I mean, everybody in the room here, I'm sure, is really good at what they do and they know a lot about what they do. And they're in the damn person in the world that cares. You know, how smart you are, what you have. What they care about is with them, you know, what's in it for me? What are my needs? So if you concentrate on finding out what they need, and then you can find an opening to fill that need with what you have, then that's fine. But until you know what they have, they really don't care how much you know.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Dawn, do you have anything you'd like to close us with?
No, I think that is a very good thought to keep in mind is the needs of people and whether or not they're a new team member. Because I talk to people that are 18 all the way up to retired age, whatever age that is. So everyone has a different need. And by being a leader for them, helping fill that need is my main purpose.
Very good. One thing we didn't get into that I wish that we had, and we have about 5 minutes left, but is the follow-up. I find that a lot of times the ball is dropped on the follow-up. And personally for me, sometimes it just makes me a little bit sad because I will purchase products or support businesses because I feel like there's a connection. And then I find that once that purchase is made, then sometimes you're just forgotten. It's like you didn't even, they're on to the next person. And I think that's just really sad. I think it goes completely and totally against what we're saying about building connections and building relationships and finding out what needs are. Does anybody have any tips for that follow-up? Carl.
Yeah, just remember the fortune's in a follow-up.
Mhm.
You know, if somebody calls me and leaves a message that maybe I was on the phone or whatever, and they have an indication that they need to meet with me for a reason that's going to benefit me, especially. I mean, you know, everything else is on the back burner. I'm calling that person. I'm going to follow up. I'm not going to make them wait or, you know, 2 or 3 days. I do the same thing with email too, because I check my email 3 or 4 times a day. I know some people don't even check it 3 or 4 times a month, but I check it 3 or 4 times a day. But yeah, I think follow up is really important, and people are leaving money on the table when they don't do that. You know, and it is irritating to me to have somebody sell you something that they might have spent hours selling it to you, and then as soon as they got your check, that's the last time you heard from them. You know, everybody
Yep,
should
I
be treated
agree.
like a client, not a customer.
And Becky said in the chat that automation and technology are your friend in the follow-up. And I agree with you so much, Becky. So obviously I sell a CRM service, and I try to get people in the product industries a lot to understand the follow-up. You know, I have a client actually that will tell me, yeah, but I met my goals for last month. So, and I'm like, okay, but what if you doubled that because you followed up?
I disagree and I agree. Okay.
Okay,
I believe the technology aspect is wonderful. It should be done, but there is nothing like reaching out to somebody personally and following up. There's just, you
I
can't
agree.
replace that with a text, email, or automation because everybody knows that. It's like I happen to mention to people that there's this new thing out. You won't believe it. It's a card about 4x6, and sometimes there's a picture on it. And if you turn it over, there's a place where you can do a hand note and you put a stamp on it and you mail it. They're calling them postcards, and hardly anybody uses them, but they're new now. And so when somebody gets one of those, it makes them special and it's personal.
Hi, Rob.
Yeah,
I like
well,
that. You know, that made me think that maybe I should get postcards that have a picture of my business on them, because I
well,
gather
let
them
me just
everywhere I go.
let me just tell you a postcard story. So I bought not the little ones, I bought the nice size postcards, 2,500 for my client to send out to prospect with. And I have not gotten, I've sent out 1,000 of those 2,500, not gotten a single call or a single hit on my website or any scheduled appointment. And when they returned mine, all I got was this much of my postcard, because the machines at the postcard, um, they are very often tear up postcards.
Oh,
And my daughter used to work in the postcard in the mail room, and she said probably a third of all postcards that are mailed actually get to their destination.
But the thing that's mass mailing. I'm talking about an individual single postcard you're mailing to Colleen to thank her for having this great meeting.
It doesn't matter whether they're
It's
going to
still
do, yeah, they still go through the
It's
same
still the
machine.
same mail service. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's interesting, because I, in the past year, have received three cards in the mail from companies that I bought services from or products from, and one of them I spent a couple $1,000s buying a product from them and received a card, and I thought, well, that's just a nice touch. Another one sent, it was a small, I don't think I bought anything. I think I just opted into like an email program kind of thing. Maybe it was a free webinar or something like that. And I received an envelope, like, you know, like Rob would send out a big 8x11 envelope, and it had a printed book that was also an ebook, but a copy of that and just a little handwritten note that said thank you. And then I received one other card, and each time I was like, well, this is just really a nice touch. And I felt like, even though we didn't connect, like I didn't respond to that, I didn't need to, they didn't warrant connection, but I felt like, hey, after the fact, they still thought of me. And that made a difference. That made a difference to me. So I don't know. Everybody's different.
Yeah, I think everybody is. And I now I won't say mail is not good, because my next set that I'll try to mail will be what looks to be like handwritten letters with hand printed. You can buy them; they look like that. But I just my experience with postcards has been and like I said, my daughter looking in the post office, she said they're just rough. They just, machines don't like them. So, but yeah, it is what it is. But
Well, I don't
you
like
got
them
to
for
try stuff.
I don't like them for solicitations.
Yeah.
Interesting. All righty. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you coming and participating. We will hold this again next week. And if you get the opportunity to jump on over to Carl's 15 plus 30, did you drop a link in the chat, Carl?
I did, and also you can just go to
Oh, yeah, you can go to his web address.
There's explains to you what we do, and there's a form on there if you wish to attend, and we'll share you with the people we have in the room.
Yep, it's always a good time. And thank you so much, Dawn, for co-hosting.
And thank you. I appreciate it.
Everybody, I hope you have the best Monday.
All right, thanks. Bye.
See you next
Bye.
week.